This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day. Carefully crafted for you by humans, so meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's Partnership Coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Carlos Sanabria from Designly. Thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you for the invitation, Shannon.
Thank you. Could you please start by introducing yourself? I know I just did, but you might do it even better. And tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got to this point in your professional career.
Yeah, of course. As Shannon said, my name is Carlos. I graduated from Purdue University with a degree in marketing and finance back in 2019, December, which was pre-pandemic, right? So I was part of the people that got lucky enough that a couple months away from being an online student, which was interesting. Everything that went about after that. But after that, I came back to Venezuela and I started working in an insurance company. I did some asset underwriting using my finance degree, and asset underwriting in Latin America is complicated. It's a very complex field. It's not necessarily that lucrative, right? And all of these opportunities like marketing and sales started looking for international employees, and the opportunities were significantly better than the corporate positions that were available in my country. So I started looking into marketing and sales, right? And I landed on my first marketing job in a Condor agency, which is a very, very impressive company. They've achieved a lot with fully remote team. Some of our team was in Venezuela. Some of them were in Mexico, and I went on board there as an account executive, and I was in charge of managing two clients. I was in charge of managing TierPoint, which is a technology firm, a cloud computing firm that provided solutions to companies, very large companies like CVS or Tommy Bahamas, like a very, very large company. And we manage all the paid media, all the email marketing, website design, everything. And this was a Fortune 500 company. So it's like a very interesting thing to see how these companies were looking for services that weren't necessarily in the US, and that here in these countries, we have highly talented people that can actually tackle and understand US business and interpret all the data that was coming in and providing accurate solutions. That was with TierPoint, right? And the other client I handled was Ramsey Innovations, which was with their founder, Jim Morris, sorry. He's an incredible businessman, and I learned a lot from them. And well, as you probably know, the agency life is very demanding, right? It's client facing, so you need to, there was a typo in the email, or the budget from the paid campaign is not what we expected, or all these day-to-day altercations that could put it makes you be on your feet, right? Basically. Mm-hmm. So I learned a lot from all of them. They're still doing great. Uh, and afterwards, I basically I've been a musician all my life, so I took a brief hiatus in my career in marketing and sales, and became a pianist. So I played the piano every day, every night for 8 months in a local piano bar. So people went there and they basically told me like, yeah, I want to sing XYZ song, and we would sing together until 2, 3 in the morning, then do it again the day after, which was not sustainable in the term, right? Because I have a girlfriend, I have a family, so it's not sustainable. But definitely taught me how to interact with people. Sometimes people that you're not comfortable with, people that are under the influence of alcohol or other other things, which is like cold calling is tough. Cold calling is pretty tough, which is it's going to bring me to my next chapter, which is my Designly chapter, in which I'm a sales representative. My official title is sales and marketing assistant, right? But I'm basically in charge of the outbound sales strategy for Designly. And yeah, cold calling is tough. Cold calling is, I feel it can be your main revenue driver, one of the main revenue drivers, one of the sources of new business. Uh, but you need to be willing to be versatile, to handle the no's and all of that. So yeah, that's my career in a very brief in a nutshell. So I'm not sure if you have any questions or you have any anecdotes, anything that you resonated with.
I would love to. So, well, my first question is, well, one, I think it's really cool that you stopped and did piano for a little bit. I did piano for like 8 years
Um,
when I was younger. I didn't love it, but I do love music. I think I'm just not uh my dexterity is not there for being a good piano player. Um, but I think that's really cool, and I also think that it's really important for people to sometimes get out of a specific space to be able to learn in a different way. So do
mhm.
you think that what do you think is the most helpful um that contributed to you being better at marketing and sales from doing the piano?
Yeah, so just to give you a little bit of context, like the piano bar itself was or is, right? A bar where people walk in and they basically ask you to play a song and they sing it. So it's like a live karaoke, basically. When no one sings, I was the one singing and playing like Billy Joel and Elton John and all these famous piano songs. Uh, but basically, I mean, there were days where you didn't want to play. I remember a day like my dog died, and I had to like that same day hop on the piano and yeah, put on a facade and kind of like travel the waters with around like 60 people that were in the bar, all asking for a performance, right? So in that sense, like to relate it to what you were asking, I feel that by reading the people that you have in front of you and by understanding how they're feeling and understanding the context where they're coming from, you can approximate or you can create a connection with them in a genuine way, right? Even if you're not in the mentality to do so, right? Because in sales you need to be ready to to do your best pitch at any moment, and you might not be feeling like I'm going to do my best pitch today, right? But you need to put on the mask, do the facade, and then make the pitch, right? So I feel like that was very, very helpful to get into that mentality and to understand how these people or how people uh, are, right? At the end, we're working with people. So, and it's the same for music or for marketing or for a cybersecurity company or whatever you're working with. So that was one part, and then the other one was thinking on your feet. Like there were some times that a person came and there's like, "Hey, you know this song?" And I just had to say, "Of course, it's my favorite song. I play it every day." Right? Like just thinking on your feet and finding a way to solve things in the moment, like improvising, uh, I think that's all of that is very positive and relates a lot to marketing and sales.
No, that definitely explains a lot. And I think that it's I think marketing is one of those roles where you're able to learn from so many avenues of life rather than just a traditional approach.
Yeah,
And so I really enjoy that you were able to pull things from something that people would not ever probably relate to marketing, to help you in your sales and marketing role.
of course. Well, one another thing that I just thought about was that in marketing you need to conduct tests, right? Experiments. You need to see like do A/B tests and see what works and kind of iterate depending on the feedback that you get from your audience, right? It's the same thing. It's an audience and it's people that you're talking to and that you're constantly communicating with. And if you don't iterate or if you don't pay attention to that feedback, then you're basically talking to yourself. Like you're not necessarily addressing an audience. You're not paying attention to their needs. Um, that's something that in the bars it was the same thing that you start and then people want to hear salsa and you start playing Billy Joel and they're gonna leave, and that's something that's very important. And that's something that, for example, in Designly we do is that we we iterate. Like for example, yeah, Slack from the other day we had a company meeting and they were saying like Slack began as a as a chat for gamers, right? And then it became another thing based on what people were using it for. So yeah, I think that adapting and iterating based on what your audience feedback is extremely important, and it's uh, totally applicable to marketing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that agencies, maybe in general, maybe it's not just marketing, have to adapt to the different needs of clients. I think that with marketing, it's also important to pivot when a campaign isn't working, and
Mhm.
that's still adapting to a client as well. I think there's so many different ways in which you have to consider the client. Well, obviously, you're considering the client the whole process, but you have to consider them in the way that something may seem like it's working, and everything adds up in the way that it should work, but it doesn't because it's marketing and there's so many factors that go into it that maybe aren't even on you, as the person that's planning it. Um, but you obviously have to navigate that situation and pivot to be able to reorient what your plan is in order to be successful.
Yeah, I feel like that's the a very important part. Like you need to adapt because and get yourself out of the way, right? Because if you came up with this amazing campaign and you integrated like a bunch of platforms and it doesn't work, then it just doesn't work.
So, how do you ensure that Designly's marketing messages resonate with the specific needs of your potential clients?
Well, I'm going to talk since I'm more in the sales part, right?
Mhm.
In Designly, I'm going to tell you the approach I've been taking towards communicating with the right people at the right time and providing the right message uh, in my position, right? So I when I first came in, uh, I started seeing the buyer personas or the ICPs that the company had, and they weren't necessarily based on past deals, right? So I'm a believer, right, that we need to make decisions on evidence, right, and do a little speculation, little experiments, do A/B testing to see, to confirm your speculations, right? But the evidence in the past is equally important as what you plan for the future, right, or what you think is going to happen. So when I came in, I downloaded all the deals from all the company's history, right? And basically saw the demographics from all of those deals and see, okay, this person has this position, this person belongs to this industry, this person is from an SMB or an enterprise, or exactly just building the demographic at the beginning. And I think that that's the core of the whole strategy, is to build an ideal client profile, customer profile. It's the essence, right, of communicating with the right people. So it doesn't really matter if you're analyzing your website traffic or your LinkedIn followers, or if you're, just creating a list. If you don't have that base of knowing who you're talking to and getting the right demographics based on evidence, right? And then you can iterate based on speculation, but the initial, or the parting point needs to be evidence, right? So based on this initial part, I was able to set out our company personas, right, or our ICPs, and that's targeting the first part, which is talking to the right people. Then at the right time, basically, there's a lot of information on the internet. You can basically see, okay, what companies use the technologies that we use, what companies have a high buying intent, using tools such as Bombora, which they're integrated into tools like Apollo, right? So what companies are looking for your website. You know when they visited your website. You know all of this information, right? So you need to just focus on the people that have a time, or have that time sensitivity, that they're looking for your product, they're looking for your service specifically at this time, right? So then you have the right person, right time, and then the right message. Okay, the right message would be, I think it's incredible. Like when I took my career hiatus in the past 2 years, right, where I was playing the piano, I was completely disengaged with all of the advances, or all of the things that were going on with AI. And when I came into the workforce again, it was just like a completely different field. AI changed my workflow 180 degrees, and some people think it's unethical. I feel like this is all for the right message, right? But it's unethical in a certain sense to use AI, or it's not genuine, or whatever adversity, right, or excuse people want to propose. But we have so much information that it's ridiculous. You put in the company link, you search the app store, and you have specific pain points. You can look at the user reviews of the apps that they use. For example, I'm relating it specifically to the service that we offer, but you can identify pain points, right? And then create a highly personalized message based on the timely necessity that we identified before, and send it to the ideal person, right? So the combination of those three things, and leveraging all of these tools and technology that we have available, make us really have a powerful audience, an audience that we can communicate with basically like a personal basis, because it feels like I know them. It's true. It might sound intrusive, but I would much rather prefer a cold caller calling me about something that I'm looking for, and that's something that I really need. That's something I don't know, for them to call me for my car insurance for the 20th time that I don't need, So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. Well, to get more in depth, I guess, what part of the sales process do you find most critical for building trust in prospective clients?
That's tough, right? But in the trust itself, for cold leads, which is what I'm working on at the moment, you need to, like, if I just get a message from ChatGPT, right, and with a basic untrained GPT, doesn't know my company, doesn't know what I sell, right, and that I haven't trained it to use like friendly words or colloquial words, then that's not going to create trust. Like if you're not putting in at least 15 minutes, 10 minutes per email, making them highly personalized, making them seem like you wrote them, right? Like it's not a generic template, or that it's not simply a yeah, it's not something that you just created a prompt for and it was just spit out for you. Which if we went down that road, we could draft hundreds of emails a day, but they would be highly inaccurate. They would sound salesy, and they would not be effective. And none of those things would create confidence or trust in your prospects. So, in my opinion, that's something that's very important to building trust. When you're cold calling, that's for me, those are like the two ways that I could say uh are good to establish trust. Is that there are definitely a lot of strategies in cold calling, but well, I did a cold call today, for example, and if I just start talking and I just pick up the phone and say, yes, I'm Carlos from Silently, like I just lose you, and they're just gonna hang up, right? I did a cold call today, for example, where I called the person and say, "Hey, is this Jack?" Yes. Uh, hey, can you tell me a little bit? I look at your company online and I'm interested. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? And you're asking out of curiosity, like you're be genuinely interested, and the person engages, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'm actually building this company for X, Y, and Z, and we have an opportunity to do a development next year." And there you go. You have what you're looking for, right? But you're not pushy, right? You're not following a straight script, but you're behaving like a human, right? And I feel like that's the most important part of uh, gaining trust or generating trust is maintaining humanity in a highly AI driven environment.
Yeah, of course. I definitely believe so. I think that the more that AI is advancing, the more that we should incorporate more personal approaches. I
Mhm.
think that people really value that, and the more that they see that automation is becoming more um, popular, the more they actually crave those experiences. At least I hope. Me personally, I do feel that way. Um, it's it's very easy, I think, especially in this space to for us to identify when something is fake, and I think it's becoming easier and easier for people to identify things. And a lot of times sometimes we identify it as fake and it's not, but it just sounds like it is. Um, and I think that you have to change your strategy in order to sound as human as possible, even if you think you are, um, to for people to not group you in with an automated message, or something like that.
100%. Like, as I said, I created a GPT to assist me writing these emails, but mostly to identify pain points, see company reviews, like more in the research part, and to create like a template for the email. But then it's my job to generate trust. That's her job, is to make it human, to make it relatable. And for example, if an email begins with, I don't know, "Hey Shannon, I think it's incredible that Penji is doing X, Y, and Z, and I think it's beautiful." Like, no one talks like that, right? And you just need to be like, "Hey," as if you were talking to a friend or to a colleague, right? And if you don't manage to get that feeling across, then I guess your campaigns are destined to fail, right? And 2025 is going to get even more AI heavy, right?
For sure. How is there a way that you incorporate feedback into your sales strategies from past clients?
Yeah. So as I said, I'm pretty new in this actual position. So I haven't been able to like change an approach towards communications or make a fundamental change in our strategy based on what a current client says. But I've been able to change or to adapt to results within the campaigns that I manage. So depending on the outcomes or the open rates or the delivery rates or click rates in a certain campaign with different touches and different settings. Yeah, basically like an A/B testing. That's how we manage to adapt in different ways.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to know if there was anything differently that you do that you think stands out for um adapting to different feedback from previous customers. That is this strategy that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, our inbound sales account executive, he's very good at maintaining those relationships and yeah, basically getting that feedback and adapting. Well, actually, he adapted. What we usually do is that we offer like this solution package for 2 weeks, where for a fraction of the total development cost, these companies can create like an initial idea of their product, right, and then go to development. So
Mhm.
we added like an additional step before that 2 week process to provide value to the people, right? Because we were seeing like some people weren't necessarily hooked in those 2 weeks. So we added like an additional step at the beginning to get them a little bit more value before they went onto the full development process. So
Mm.
that's something that happened a couple days ago. So
Oh, wow. Okay. I think that's a great strategy. I think that sometimes people just need like a little more push, I guess, in order to get to finalizing that. So it's good to incorporate that strategy.
yeah.
So my last question for you, because we're coming up on time, but could you tell us what did you think is the biggest challenge that you faced in your position since starting, and how either if it's still a challenge, like your plan for overcoming them, or adapting to that, or anything that you think would be important to mention?
Yes, of course. I think the greatest challenge that I faced, and I'm still facing, is consistency, right? Because we are in a like in a society that favors immediacy, and we want to see results right away, right? So, and marketing and sales is a strategy driven industry, and we're the people that are in charge of coming up with strategies, coming up with workflows, with sequences, with uh, audiences, and we need to have some creativity and speculation to see to create an initial idea. So I guess that having patience, right, and consistency to actually do. I mean, you build a strategy for some weeks, you create the workflow, you buy the tools, you create the personas, you create the email copies, you create everything, but it all comes down to sitting down, sending the emails, making the calls, and just reaching out, and that's when you get the results, when you sit 6 months from the initial campaign and see if everything worked. So I think that we're not configured to be patient. Uh, just with the environment that we grew up in, right? But that's definitely where the key is.
What, okay, I know I promised that was the last question, but
No problem.
if you experience a challenge during this process, how do you kind of adapt to that? I know I asked about challenges initially, but I guess like, um, you know, it's a long process to see the results of marketing. What happens if you're not seeing what, or sales specifically as well? What happens if you're not seeing those results?
Well, you need to be humble, right? Uh, and just accept that, get yourself out of your way, out of the way, and say like, okay, so this came from my mind, so I'm obviously going to be, uh, yeah, personal about it. It's going to hurt a little bit. Like, okay, I created all this strategy and I thought this was going to work out, but it didn't. So you just need to get yourself out of the way. Be open to listening to your teammates, to your team, and just try other things. It's definitely an industry where we need to try. We need to experiment, and experimentation obviously comes with failure. And if you don't embrace it, you're not going to be able to get the maximum profit, right? Because you're not going to be able to try out as many things as possible, find out what works.
Well, I think that is really great advice to end on. So I appreciate it. And thank you so much for joining me today. I think we got a lot of really good advice from you, and I learned a lot. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you again.
Thank you, Shannon. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching and or listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to learn more like I get to do. And thank you for joining us.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.